Imagine a version of Ben Tennyson who doesn't save the universe, but controls it. A Ben who was never guided by Max Tennyson, but raised by one of the darkest beings in the multiverse, Eon. A Ben who mastered time itself before he even became a teenager. No jokes, no mercy, no second chances. And the scariest part, this version of Ben truly believed he was the hero. The Ben 10 multiverse is full of alternate timelines. We've seen Mad Ben, Benzaro, Nega Ben. But there may be one timeline darker than all of them combined. A timeline where the Omnitrix didn't fall into the wrong hands, but into the wrong teachings. Because if Eon had trained Ben instead of Grandpa Max, Ben wouldn't just become stronger, he would become unstoppable. Grandpa Max disappears. No body, no answers, nothing. For the first time in his life, Ben feels powerless. Without Max, both Ben and Gwen Tennyson are completely lost. And that's exactly when Eon appears, not as a villain, but as a savior. Eon understands something most villains never realized. You don't control Ben through fear, you control him through purpose. So instead of attacking Ben, he mentors him. He teaches Ben that heroes fail because they hesitate, that mercy creates weakness, that villains return because nobody is willing to do what's necessary, and slowly, Ben begins to believe him, mission after mission. Ben watches criminals escape. He watches innocent people suffer. He watches entire cities get destroyed. And every single time, Eon has the same answer. You could have stopped this permanently. At first, Ben resists, but over time, he changes. Heat Blast stops being a fun fire alien. He becomes a weapon of destruction. XLR-8 no longer runs fast for fun. He calculates every movement before it happens. Diamond Head becomes ruthless, and little by little, Ben stops acting like a kid. Gwen notices the changes first. Ben stops joking, he becomes colder, more aggressive, and during one mission, Ben nearly kills a criminal while using 4 arms. Gwen is horrified, but Ben doesn't regret it. Instead, he says something that completely shocks her. If I let him live, how many more people would die because of it? That was the moment Ben stopped being a hero and started becoming a judge. Gwen tries warning him about Eon, but it's already too late, because Eon gave Ben something he desperately needed after losing Max. Direction, purpose, control. And this is where things become terrifying. The Omnitrix was designed to preserve life, to create understanding between species. But in this timeline, Ben constantly uses it with aggression and domination, and the Omnitrix begins adapting to him. Yes, the Omnitrix evolves based on its user. Grey matter becomes hyper-intelligent, but emotionally detached. Upgrade permanently merges with technology. Ghost Freak becomes easier to control. Way too easy. And eventually, Ben unlocks Alien X years earlier than he should, because Eon specifically trained him in cosmic awareness and time manipulation. Normally, Ben struggles with Alien X because of indecision. But this Ben, he doesn't hesitate, he doesn't question himself, and that makes Alien X absolutely terrifying. In this timeline, Kevin Levin never becomes Ben's enemy, he becomes his partner. Think about it. Kevin always wanted acceptance, and this darker version of Ben actually understands him. The two become unstoppable together. One controls time, the other absorbs limitless power, and eventually, Kevin starts believing Eon's philosophy too. If peace requires fear, then fear becomes necessary. And the terrifying part? It works. Crime across the galaxy drops. Entire planets surrender without resistance. People feel safe, but they are no longer free. And this is where the timeline completely breaks. Vilgax realizes that Ben is becoming a threat to reality itself. Yes, in this universe, Vilgax becomes the resistance. That's how dangerous Ben has become. Vilgax secretly teams up with Gwen because they're the only ones left who understand the truth. Ben isn't protecting the universe anymore. He's controlling it. He invades worlds not to destroy them, but to fix them. He removes freedom. He creates absolute order. And every time someone resists, Alien X appears, but eventually, Ben's manipulation of time begins damaging the multiverse itself. Entire timelines start collapsing, and that's when Prime Ben arrives. Our Ben, the goofy, immature, joke-making Ben we all know, and Dark Ben immediately hates him. You never deserved the Omnitrix. Prime Ben is shocked because standing in front of him is a version of himself that lost everything. And then the battle begins. Way Big versus Way Big. Feedback versus Clockwork. Alien X versus Alien X. And honestly, Prime Ben is weaker. But he has one thing Dark Ben lost a long time ago: humanity. During the fight, Prime Ben says something that finally breaks through to him. Grandpa Max taught us that power exists to protect people, not control them. And for the first time, Dark Ben hesitates, because deep inside, he's still just a scared 10-year-old kid who never stopped missing his grandpa. In the final moments, Dark Ben turns against Eon, because he finally realizes the truth. He was never saving the universe. He was enslaving it. But by then, the multiverse is already collapsing. So Dark Ben makes one final choice. He sacrifices himself to save every timeline. And before disappearing, he says one final thing to Prime Ben: don't waste the life Max gave you. And honestly, that might be the most tragic version of Ben 10 ever created. If you want to see a full, detailed animated breakdown of this Dark Ben 10 timeline, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that follow button and subscribe for more mind-blowing multiverse stories. Which alternate Ben should we cover next? Drop your ideas below and I'll see you in the next timeline.